Diolch, Fiona, and bore da pawb. It's great to be with you this morning. It's an honour and a pleasure for me to be your opening speaker on the first day of your 2020 Wales Food and Farming Conference. You mentioned family and community, Fiona, and that's something that's absolutely key to me. That's something that's really, really important. We farm here, it's a typical family farm here in Pentre. We produce Welsh black cattle for a major retailer. I'm a little bit biased, but I'd probably say it's the best beef in the world. And we also have some sheep, and we are home of the Epynt stud. And the Epynt is an area of Wales that's really, really beautiful and important. Epynt is the literal translation is the haunt of the horse. Apparently, there have been horses here for over 1,000 years, treading these steps of the Epynt, beautiful Epynt hills. And of course, it's in the foothills of the Beacons. Quite a few might not really know, but partnership is a really strong theme of the conference. And also, you know, in terms of climate change and local food and the histories and the future. So that's really what I'm really pleased about, the focus you've given that in your conference. And I'm really pleased to be part of it. And I wish you every success for the week. A conference taking part at a pivotal time for food and farming, as we, along with the rest of society, deal with COVID, and as we await what news we have on our future relationship with the EU, what that will look like will be absolutely pivotal for the future of Welsh farming, and how our government and in Westminster will position itself with trade to the rest of the year. Here in Wales, we have an opportunity to design a comprehensive new food and farming policy for Wales that delivers future growth of the £7.5 billion sector, producing the most climate-friendly food in the world and enabling nature to thrive. A policy that can ensure we deliver additional jobs, sustainable growth and investment to Wales. I know we've all really missed the opportunity to meet up in person this year at our shows, events and other activities that we all cherish within our local communities. I am proud of the resilience that we have shown within our own sector and our communities. And this conference being held in virtual surroundings is another example of that. Let us hope that the measures we put in place today will allow some normality to return in 2021. It's been a hugely difficult season for all of us, and I urge each and every one of you, first and foremost, to look after your well-being and look after for one another, and please stay safe. On behalf of the farming community, a huge thanks must also go to NHS and all those working in the health and social care sector for their unflinching care and compassion during this time. And to the Welsh food and farming industry, a massive thank you to everyone for keeping the nation fed through COVID. It's been a challenge, the overnight loss of the food sector, service sector, a sector responsible for nearly half of the value of the food chain caused severe disruption. The dairy sector in Wales bore the brunt, with AHDB research showing around half of Welsh dairy producers have been highly impacted by the result of COVID. Despite the challenges we faced, it was a pleasure to see how the supply chain came together and kept the nation fed. And I applaud the work of livestock markets adapting overnight to the restrictions and keep trade flowing. To our vets in continuing to provide the support in caring for our livestock, and to the supply sector in keeping us supplied with key inputs required to keep us farming. During the course of the pandemic, NFU Cymru has had much positive and constructive engagement with our retailers and processors. And I would like to praise the many initiatives that were put in place to back Welsh and British producers on our retailer shelves. And I was also pleased to see HCC, AHDB and all the GB levy bodies collaborating to stimulate consumption of our red meat and dairy products. We have to recognise the challenge of COVID is still very much with us. And whilst we're out of the firebreak lockdown here, the number of cases in Wales remains to be extremely concerning. And in England, of course, they're back in full lockdown. What impact will this have on housing again, or the food service sector on our markets? How will Christmas look in 2020? And what impact will this have going forward? With COVID dominating our thoughts and the media headlines, it could be easy to forget that we are just over a month away from ending our Brexit transition period. Our negotiators must have total focus on securing a comprehensive deal with the EU that will come into force at the end of the transition period. We cannot afford to face tariffs, even for a short time, on the bulk of our agri-food exports. Let's be clear, while the elimination of tariffs is a big ticket item here, there remain many other matters that could and will place friction on the movement of goods to the EU, whether that be custom checks, export health certificates, third country listing, and organic equivalents, to name a few. There is much to do and little time to do it in. This month, we have seen the power of what we can achieve when we all work together. And I would like to thank each and every one of you that worked with us on our food standards campaign, lobbying your MPs and helping to promote the campaign that received over 1 million signatures from you, the general public. The partnership working between NFU and environmental organisations to lobby government on this matter was absolutely crucial, and highlights once again there is far more that brings us together than separates us. And I hope that this joint working can continue into other areas of our work. Strengthening the role of the Trade and Agriculture Commission through new legislative framework is good news. It gives those of us who care passionately about the health and welfare of our animals, our environment, and the production standards that our food is produced to a much stronger voice. Climate change is a key theme of this week's conference, and I hope you're all aware of the NFU Cymru, working alongside our colleagues in the NFU, have set a really ambitious goal of net zero greenhouse gas emissions across the whole of agriculture in England and Wales by 2040. This is our contribution to the Welsh Government's ambition of net zero by 2050. And I thought it would be useful today to set out what this means to us. I firmly believe that Welsh agriculture is uniquely placed to be part of the solution, as both an emissions source, but also as a sink. As farmers, we have a special responsibility to protect our carbon reserves already in our soils and vegetation, but we must and can do more to tackle the 12% of greenhouse gases that come from agriculture. We believe our aim is challenging, but attainable, given the right incentives. And those feature on 3, and I'll expand them in the questions because we are tight for time. But first of all, improving farming's productive efficiency. Secondly, improving land management to enable us to capture even more carbon. And thirdly, by boosting renewable energy and the wider bioeconomy. We are clear at the same time as reducing our impact on climate, we should not reduce our capacity to feed consumers with high quality, affordable Welsh food. Wales must not achieve its climate ambitions by exporting Welsh production or our greenhouse gas emissions to other countries. We believe that Wales's productive agricultural capacity should be maintained and enhanced, and decarbonisation policies in Wales should not result in massive widespread land use change. Our ambition for net zero contribution to climate change across the whole of agricultural production is a national aspiration, not an expectation that every farm can reach net zero. Every farm will start the journey to net zero from a different place. We will only be able to achieve this with concerted support from governments in Cardiff Bay and Westminster. Future agricultural policy in Wales needs to support and incentivise our industry on its journey to net zero. Both the Welsh and UK governments need to continue to support the further uptake of renewables and ensure that barriers to energy generation are removed. And we need UK government to ensure that future trade deals do not undermine our good work by allowing food to be imported when no account has been taken of the climate change footprint. So, to come back to COVID-19, it's impacted on all our lives in 2020. The nature of today's events and announcements of recent days make it clear the impact will be with us for some time to come. Empty supermarket shelves and ensuring food is provided to the most vulnerable in society has reminded us all of the fundamental importance of access to safe, high quality, affordable food as the most basic right for all people in society. It's very much important. It's vital that we reflect on these matters and understand how much the world has changed since Welsh Government published its Sustainable Farming Our Land consultation last July. We need to pause and reflect on all that has taken part, learn the lessons of the past and the importance of domestic food production and the value that society places on our high standards. From our point of view, we have some key principles for the future agricultural policies in Wales. These are a policy that underpins continued, safe, high-quality, traceable and affordable food from Wales. A policy that allows farmers to be rewarded for the environmental goods that they already deliver on farm, alongside incentivising additional work on farm. Absolutely vital that we ensure that the active farmer receives the support going forward, the person who takes the financial risks with food production. Also, we need to ensure investment measures are available to ensure farmers are equipped to face the challenges and opportunities in a post-Brexit marketplace. Ensuring our regulatory and funding regimes allows us to compete with farmers from across the UK, the EU and globally. Our vision for a pathway to a better, stronger, greener Wales is based on a flexible framework of 3 integrated building blocks: productivity, environment and stability. All 3 are vital, and it's only from this position of stability that farmers will have the confidence to go forward. I believe we have a great opportunity to design and implement a policy made in Wales, by Wales, for Wales, an integrated food and farming policy building. A century ago, the work of Stapleton and his team in Aberhonddu put us very much at the forefront of plant breeding. We need to ensure Wales going forward again, we can be seen as world leaders in the sustainable production of food. A policy that underpins that high quality food production, producing the most climate friendly food in the world, ensuring that nature is thriving and our sector is delivering additional jobs and investment for Wales. We can only achieve that by those of us that care passionately about our food, our environment, our communities, our culture, our language and heritage, coming together and in working in partnership to deliver that shared vision. Conference, once again, let me thank you for allowing me to speak to you all today. Look forward to any questions you may have. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
David says, many farms will be carbon negative, John, due to their limited use of ploughing and their management of woodland. How will this benefit be accounted for on an individual and in Wales level? Okay,
so we've done a lot of work with carbon calculators, and it's still not completed. I chair a net zero committee that looks at the science behind that. There were over 500 calculators we looked at, trimmed them down to 50, then we're looking at 3 now. So there's a lot of testing going on in conjunction with Welsh Government, and I think it's really important that we feature on this, and that is part of a platform, a sustainability index. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be very prescriptive in what goes into that sustainability platform, but if we have a range of scores for individual activities, be they a herd health plan, a flock management plan, a carbon calculator, nutrient management plan, that sort of thing, to give us that sort of stability payment that proves and evidences our claim to be the most carbon friendly, climate friendly food producers. I think that puts us in a good place if that is then combined with our sustainability brand values work. And that's what I talked about, having a fully integrated food and farming plan to make sure that the good work that we're doing here on farms in Wales goes forward to then be able to be validated and to be able to prove what we say. So, David, you know, it's an ambition for Wales. It's an ambition that will need every farm in Wales to be aligned with, but I think it will be massively beneficial as well.
Thank you, John. A couple of other questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few from my chats. Perhaps the one it's about what are the 3 calculators that were chosen directly relevant to that. Follow on that question. I mean, we don't have much time probably to talk about life cycle assessment or offsetting. of the cultural ecosystem services, but we'll just focus on the carbon footprinting for now, which is part of the eco footprint story, isn't it, John?
Yes, I think there's still work to be done on the calculators, and there's some interesting projects that have been carried out in Wales. What's absolutely vital, okay, that we haven't, what we've done, we've come forward with 10 criteria, and Jonathan is speaking with you later on in the week around this, but it's absolutely crucial that sequestration is recognised in these calculators, and some of them, they haven't been. You know, so whilst we're not going to recommend one particular calculator at the present time, you know, we have world leaders here. Prasar is also speaking, I think, with you later in the week, or he was on one of the videos that I saw with you earlier. You know, we've got some fantastic work going on in Ibers and Bangor. So this work isn't where we need it to be yet in terms of being completed. So let's make sure that we influence and we work with these people that are working on the calculators to get a good one going forward.
Right, felly, symud myself, I would also like to see some social impact assessments being carried out, which is a really important part of the discussion that needs to be had for an industry that's so crucial to maintaining rural population and economy. But that's another matter for another set of funders, I think. Right, so
well, it's all linked though, Ivona, with respect. Exactly. It's absolutely vital that we don't just see it through one optic. Yes, carbon and climate change are absolutely vital, but we need to make sure we see the whole optics and the whole picture. Yeah.
So another question I've got here is, what areas, types of farming do you think offer the most potential for growth in the respective areas? Productivity, environment, efficiency. How do we balance livestock, arable, horticulture, CEA and agroforestry?
Okay, I think it's really important that we respond to the marketplace. We've farmed here for the last few centuries as a family, and we only continue doing that by changing and adapting and evolving. So, you know, the marketplace is changing and evolving. We need to be very transparent with what we do, and we need to be very, very sustainable. So I think any specific thing, you can't say, you know, it's horticulture or it's this or whatever, because every part of Wales has grown up and developed what suits it in its area. I think a mixed farming regime offers a lot. I think there's a need to make sure that we have a full control of what we're producing. So, you know, we grow our own grain, we do a little bit of arable, and we do a little bit of seeds or whatever. That also adds to the fantastic mosaic of Wales in terms of hedgerow creation. We've planted a few thousand meters of that over the past few years. So it's about being a mixed and a operation that is sustainable going forward. So there's no one answer, there's no silver bullet, but I think we have to be able to be transparent and ambitious.
A question again, linking on from that. How is the link with improving health and growing fruit and veg in Wales being promoted?
We've done quite a lot of work with Tyfu Cymru, and I'd urge everybody to take part with a number of initiatives to grow horticulture. We've actually grown an acre of potatoes here at home, and it's a really fantastic experience to get the soil under your fingernails and see what a fantastic resource our red sandstone is and what our soil is, you know. I wasn't saying it last week because we're not very mechanized and it's all hand picking and whatever, and the machinery we use is 50 years old, but the taste and the texture and the thing is really good. So, you know, I think we need to work with everybody involved in this, and there are some good initiatives there, and we need to see how we can centralize and get some shared equipment and shared processing areas possibly. So there's room for growth there, and working with the community. It's been great to have villagers with us and having a fair laugh picking them. So it's been good in that way.
And then to follow on, another couple of questions about markets and new markets. How can we influence the market, perhaps obviously the trading talks, but also create new local regional marketplaces?
I think we have to recognise that we have a fantastic opportunity here in Wales, but we have a great marketplace just across Offers Dyke as well, and it's important that we do keep our ambition there. You know, our food plan has grown a business here in Wales, which has created £7.5 billion worth of turnover in the last year. I want to be ambitious about that going forward. You know, we have to all work together. When you see Origin Green in Southern Ireland, every politician, every producer has that shared ambition, that shared vision. I think that's really important for Wales going forward. We have a clear vision, a clear ambition. Come join us, let's work together to sell that to the world would be my vision.